Dark Tower. Chapter 3. Intelligent Vampire. To hold on to the air and sharp stars, to touch the huge sky with hand. B2. Karina was dissecting another plant when she heard Alan's voice, Inquisition, and two messengers burst into the laboratory. One of them pulled out a manuscript from his cloak. You are charged with violating the law of witchcraft and alchemy, the messenger said gloatingly. Sign the tablets about the receipt of the notice. The Inquisition requires an explanation and 333 papers in your defense before the full moon. Otherwise, as well as for providing falsified papers, you will be prosecuted under the following articles: illegal activities on the territory of the castle, concealing alchemy of an extraordinary large scale, forgery of indulgence, illegal border crossing, and disclosure of mirror secrets. From now until the decision of the Inquisitor's High Council, you are forbidden to carry out any alchemical work, and the castle is placed under special surveillance since midnight. Karina glanced at the dissected plant, then at the train tickets from the Silver Age, and they obediently disappeared. After that she silently studied the manuscript. Shall I sign? Karina asked Alan, who was invisibly present in the ether. Well, sign it. What can you do? Karina signed the paper and the tablets, and the messengers disappeared. Alan, blackened with anger, flew into the room. We'll arrange an investigation of your flights later. How did you manage to end up on Earth? How to prove now that you have not voiced a single formula to any of the mortals? Did you lay out the cards? No, the stars. The Medici solitaire would be much better for the case. If you can't form a chain of events, you'll have to you-know-what. Who could imagine that even here, in higher sphere, the Inquisition would pursue the forces of light, obviously playing into the hands of darkness. They don't allow us to work deliberately. At the same time, they know that we are not violating anything. They are beyond any control. Damn them, just like on Earth. Karina took a tarot deck out of her left sleeve, each card corresponding to a particular event, and began to compose a chain leading to the desired result. Once, Queen Mary Stuart had also tried the Medici solitaire in order to escape the fate prescribed by heaven, the night before her execution, but she had not enough time until the morning and got beheaded. Edgar entered the lab through the wall and saw Alan. Edgar bowed, whispered sorry, went back through the wall, knocked on the door, waited for the permission and entered the room again. You are just in time, Edgar, Alan said. I suggest that Karina be temporarily relocated to your tower. She will continue to work somehow there. Let's try to prepare papers in her defense. Anyway, until the full moon, turn off visibility even in the tower, as if no one lives there. Edgar obediently bowed in agreement. And just in case, Alan said thoughtfully, it's worth meditating on where Karina should end up if our agreement with the Inquisition fails. Karina almost howled. Not that again. Alan disappeared. What the devil pulled me to fly to the Silver Age? Karina thought. With an unblinking gaze, she pulled one of the flasks out of the closet, threw it at the wall with all her might, and the flask pretended to be broken. Imagine what a valuable specialist you are if you disturb the forces of darkness so much, Edgar chuckled. You know too much. Even Alan himself is afraid of you. If the case is filed, they will sentence me to reincarnation, Karina said devastated. How to work there? On Earth everything is different. You don't remember anything. Until you learn to speak, write and get to the black holes in the Mendeleev's table, you'll be old. They will block my access to the library, to the tablets, deprive me of herbs. It's only here that everything you need appears instantly. And if now, in the land of dreams, I consciously communicate with the ghost of the great alchemist, stuck in Prague, on Earth, how can I consult him? Edgar stroked Karina's hair and decided to shift the focus. And what fate did he get stuck in Prague? First of all, Prague is one of the most gothic and densely populated cities in the world of illusions. Many witches and sorcerers dream of settling in Prague, both during their lifetime and after it. Secondly, as you know, all spirits, like people, have a residence permit, a place of residence by distribution. The great alchemist was lucky. The judges offered him several cities in different countries to choose from. He and his wife, of course, chose Prague and settled in a tower at Charles Bridge. The ghost of the beheaded executioner, Patrick, asked them to guard the tower in his absence and set off to travel the world. He hasn't returned yet. Anyhow, it was his childhood dream, to go around the whole world. It's a pity that he could realize it only in the darkness, stuck between the worlds. Beheaded executioner, Edgar chuckled. Yes, Patrick was an executioner, but, ironically, he himself ended his life on the chopping block of the scaffold. Although the severed head didn't atone for his sins, the judges allowed him to travel. I don't understand, Karina. If the Prague alchemist had been a light soul, why was he assigned to the dark ones? Or did he follow down his dark wife? A sad story, they both suffered from the Inquisition on the evil slander of the Dark Ones. The alchemist was a kind man and an amazing doctor. Once he saved their neighbor's son, resurrected the boy after his drowning, in fact signed the death warrant for himself and his wife Eleanor. The mother of the boy, a widow, opened a hunt for the alchemist, dreaming of marrying him, and informed the Inquisition that Eleanor was a witch. God played a cruel joke with the huntress. The inquisitors came for Eleanor, and, after examining all the rooms in the house, they took the alchemist as well. Did he create the Philosopher's Stone? No, he tried to create an elixir of immortality in order to expel death from the earth once and forever because he let the pain of his patients pass through him. Why did he end up downstairs? Even in the Hall of Posthumous Judgment, the alchemist vehemently accused God of injustice and cruelty. He never acknowledged the fact that the death of mankind was really inevitable and the apocalypse would take place anyway, because the fairy tale about the elixir of immortality had been invented by the devil. If death exists, God needs it for some reason. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Indeed, in the pure-hearted dream of the universal good, as it turns out, the root of evil is hidden. So Eleanor was given a choice, to ascend to the higher light or to descend with her husband into the realm of darkness. And she followed him to Prague, but she made the decision humbly and doesn't torment herself or her husband, although she believes that he serves the devil, arguing with God. They were both burned at the stake, were not they? Eleanor only. She complained to me in the Land of Dreams about her own nightmare, the annual April 30th, when witches are burned at the Charles Bridge in Prague to people's dancing and singing. It's fun for people. They don't think that each of them could have been in the place of the burned effigy. Weight less than a sheep, eyes of different color, one hand is cold, the other is hot, or just because someone crossed the road to his neighbor, for example. However, no one is able to feel someone else's pain fully and completely. Every April 30th, Eleanor with her husband and several other ghosts, including the former priest, commemorate the victims of the Inquisition in the cemetery. Anyway, the alchemist himself was beheaded. Eleanor says that sometimes he wakes up without a head and starts nervously pacing around the room, and sometimes, just like that, he sits down in an armchair by the fireplace and smokes a pipe. Imagine, the sight is not for the faint of heart. I still can't get used to headless smokers. The alchemist loses his head every time he has his personal nightmare, death on the scaffold. Do they have children? Neither during their lifetime on Earth, nor now. A cat lives with them, clearly black. No kids. Down there in general there are few kids, since almost all the souls who have not yet had time to commit something criminal are taken upstairs, to the angels. Eleanor, of course, is sad about kids and even suffers from insomnia, but at night she takes out a spindle and a toe, she spins yarn and knits witch-like hats, scarves, shawls and even mantles. Witch-like hats, Edgar chuckled, although, it's common for ghosts to dress old-fashioned, as customary in those days when they lived, and to love antiques. There is only one word behind all this: nostalgia. I agree, most of the witches from the Middle Ages wear elongated hats caps. Eleanor opened a women's fashion showroom on the ground floor in their tower. She loves to invent new fabrics and all kinds of patterns, combine colors and textures in unusual way, add piquant details and exclusive, almost handmade, accessories. Eleanor is a designer of mental images that replaced her children, because everything that exists in the afterlife reality is illusory and is created solely by the power of thought. By the way, it was Eleanor who gave me the invisibility cloak. She goes out into the world every time in a new dress, and her husband is always grumbling that it's indecent, and wraps himself in the same dark blue robe with a long hood all the time. And what does the alchemist do now? The same as in life, he dreams of creating the elixir of immortality before the apocalypse, in order to pass the recipe to people through the land of dreams and save mankind from inevitable death. He uses the opportunity of meeting in the land of dreams for working purposes, asks his acquaintances, including me, to get the information he needs from books and manuscripts stored in the library of the universe, since he, like everyone down there, has no access. Sometimes he turns for help to those still living on Earth. What a stubborn one. What if he doesn't make it before the apocalypse? Eleanor says they will join the forces of light to get a second chance. And how did you meet him? Thanks to Alan, I even went to their tower for Eleanor's birthday party. Do they sleep in coffins? Each ghost visualizes his lifetime dreams. They didn't dream of sleeping in coffins. They have a very cozy tower with astral candles always burning to let other ghosts know that the place is inhabited. On the top floor there is a lovely bedroom with a fireplace, a wide wooden bed with feather pillows, a warm blanket and a woolen plaid. On the floor below, there is a living room for wanderers, with sofas, fireplace and library. They have lots of books. Not the library of the universe, of course. But Eleanor calls herself and her husband intelligent vampires. They go to the local library, all kinds of museums, exhibitions. However, when it comes to literature, the alchemist is focused on a narrow profile, in his specialty, and Eleanor collects fairy tales. Just like me, I loved fairy tales during my lifetime on Earth too. Andersen and the Brothers Grimm, Hoffmann and Dickens. And you, what writers do you like? Guess, my namesake Edgar Allan Poe, of course. Do they have a dungeon in the tower? Every tower has a dungeon, and their one is no exception, but it turned out that Eleanor, like me, is afraid of spiders, so the dungeon is occupied by the alchemist. He almost succeeded in recreating his lab. I took a look. It's really cool, and behind his place, there is a closet with old dusty brooms, inherited from Patrick, and with a mysterious chest. Eleanor says that our memories are hidden in it, although not all of them are pleasant ones. When you open the chest, you never know which one will pop out first. And, imagine, I looked in and recoiled. My last death was hiding there. Let's change the subject and get back to reality. It's too early to think about death. Alan must have acquaintances in the City of the Sun. Yes, but not the ones that decide something here. Besides, you can't stop time on Earth. The Dark Ones are constantly ahead of us, creating more and more new viruses, increasing the percentage of lethality rate. Of course, our lab is not the only one, but developing formulas of drugs that neutralize the Dark One's infection is much more complicated than inventing a new disease for the mankind. Do you think the forces of darkness, by means of the Inquisition attacks, try to buy time anyhow? Yes, and my next reincarnation for them is a solid period, not to mention the closure of our lab. Unfortunately, there are not many specialists in the mental sphere, but Earth has its charms. I would like to live in a physical body in order to forget for a while the endless games of darkness and light. However, the walls here have ears, and even if they are awakened by the Inquisition only at midnight, it's safer to get out of here immediately and relax then. There is something to be removed here first, Edgar, and the rest to be hidden somewhere at your place. Black papers and herbs or your thought forms, he chuckled. I don't do black magic, but there are some long formulas dictated to me in the land of dreams by the same Prague alchemist. Are they absent in the tablets? Edgar was surprised. Well, don't worry. At midnight, only fakes will be left in your lab, and you can entrust the formulas of antidotes to me at any time.